Hello, I'm Steven Davidson. Welcome to Looking Back on a Life That Didn't Happen, episode 23, starring the excellent Jay Lafferty. This show involves the Joppa superstar talking to his guests about a life they haven't actually lived, an alternative history they know absolutely nothing about. No one ever sees the questions in advance, they survive purely on wit, imagination and nonsense, discussed as always in a very serious manner. Thank you so much to Jay for her time. If you enjoy this show, you can also catch her on the brand new podcast How the Mother Half Lives, on BBC iPlayer in her 3-part radio epic Jay's Jammy, or live on stage when the good times roll again. In the meantime, on with the show. Jay, welcome to Looking Back. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
I don't think we can start anywhere else today, Jay, apart from the Daily Record front page. The Record's crack investigative journalists have uncovered the SNP's plan to ditch Nicola Sturgeon and install you as leader if Scotland goes down the route of independence. Why give the reins to a comedian with no political experience?
I mean, I think the question you should be asking is why not? I think if we're being honest, everybody is just really fed up with politics and politicians and the waffle. So why not install a comedian? And everybody's wished me well on it, and it's one of those things. It's been a lifetime ambition, really, to be the First Minister of Scotland. But with no interest in politics, I did think that it was probably a long shot. But I've been doing things in the background, been making friends, a couple of golden handshakes here and there, and wee Nicola's out. They've put me in. You know, I think I'm going to undo a lot of the damage done by Big Donald, because obviously he's the most well-known person to be installed in a kind of political seat of power without any real knowledge and understanding of it. And he's made a right, arse it. But I think this is my opportunity really to lead Scotland into an independent future, independent of politics. It's going to be a utopia, and I'm really hoping that you're going to get on board with us.
Well, I will. The one thing that did irk me slightly, Jay, was that this story only came to light when you were caught selling Jay Lafferty First Minister mugs without a trading licence on Sauchiehall Street yesterday morning. Do you think you jumped the gun a wee bit?
No, I really don't, and I'm a bit offended by that question, because I come from a long history and background of market traders, and so what I actually have is it's a historical licence, right? Because if your family are in the market trading business, then you have, it's an heirloom, really. It's handed down from generation to generation. So the fact that I was on Sauchiehall Street selling my mugs, I mean, the real issue was that my licence, the historical licence, it only really covers the barras, and I had kind of come out of that zone, obviously, make my way to Sauchiehall Street, but I was kind of trying to get the students on board, and that's kind of where you find most of the students in Sauchiehall Street hanging about the hall. It's been misreported. It's false. It's false news. I know I shouldn't use that phrase, having just said that I'm going to be unlike Donald, but yeah, false advertising and historic licence, and that's all I'm going to say on that subject.
Well, Jay, the mug that my auntie bought, the ink came off on day 2 after only 1 cup of tea. Do you have any comment to make on that?
Well, she clearly didn't follow the instructions, She didn't follow the instructions. You've got to seal it first with the varnish that you buy online from Amazon, $9.99, quite clearly stated when she purchased the mug.
And you only agreed to come on the show today if you could say a little bit about the release of your new bike helmet, Jay, the Big Bullet, which goes on sale again on Amazon this Friday. What makes it special?
The Big Bullet it's total safety, isn't it? It's total safety. It's aerodynamic. It looks great. The point at the end, it really means that if you are to fly through the air, much like a dart, you need to just get yourself straight, right? You just need to put your arms by your side as you're catapulted through the air, and like a dart, whatever you hit, you'll just bullseye, and the bullet helmet will take all of the velocity, all of the power, and you will be safe at the other side. And I'm just delighted that Amazon have purchased such a huge stock and market of the bullet helmet, particularly for a first time product. But yeah, I think everybody will be buying bullet from now on.
And finally, in these astonishing modern times for you, I have to ask about your new song, which is out today. It's a duet ballad called Lafferty in Buckingham Palace. Who are you singing it with, and do you think it will chart?
Well, I'm surprised you've not heard who I'm singing it with, because Lizzie and I, we've been pals for a long time. She has actually been quite instrumental in my rise to power in getting wee Nicola out and myself in. Now, I'm not a royalist at all, but neither's Lizzie. I mean, Lizzie, she's got an affinity for Scotland herself. She's actually wanting to leave the UK. She's wanting to leave England. She's wanting to leave the United Kingdom. She's wanting us to be separate. But she obviously, because of the throne and all the taxpayers' money, she can't come right out and say that. So she's singing it with myself. And I think it's going to be a Christmas number one, if I'm honest.
Would you be up for singing a wee bit of it for us, Jay?
I can't, because it's embargoed, I'm afraid, until the release tonight at 6 o'clock.
Okay, the time has come. Are you ready to sit at the wheel of the digger that will excavate the ruins of your dirty past?
Yeah, I've actually got a licence for a digger, so I'm all aboard. Let's do it.
Okay, let's dig. You were born Jaybird Kevin Lafferty in Texas to oil magnate Billy Boy Lafferty and triangular building designer Heather Jeep. Firstly, do you have any idea why they gave you a man's middle name?
Well, I mean, the argument would be that they gave me a man's full name, because Jay is normally a gentleman's name. I think they were just ahead of their time, to be honest. I think that they didn't see gender. They were really mavericks. And Kevin, obviously a family name from my uncle Kelvin. And yeah, I mean, they called my brother Susan. So, they were just ahead of their time in terms of gender politics.
And in your autobiography, Jay, your earliest memories involve setting up a Jay Lafferty fan club at the age of 3. Did you always sense that you had show business greatness in you?
I mean, yes. There's no other way. I know some might say that's cocky. Some might say that I'm above my station. But I think the answer to that is yes. I mean, when I was 3 years old, we moved from Texas to Glasgow, and I thought it was probably the best way to ingratiate myself with the other nursery children. I came in there and I told them that I had been a very famous toddler in the United States and that they could join my fan club, and one of the benefits of joining the fan club was that they got to be my best pal. Unfortunately, there was only 2 members of the fan club, and that was wee Jamie, who picked his nose and ate it, so I wasn't really that keen on him being there, but he paid his subs, so a deal's a deal. And of course, Miss Thompson, the nursery school teacher.
And how much was it to join, Jay, if you don't mind me asking?
It was £25.20, because you should always put, this is what I've learned from my marketing background historically, that you should never have a round number, always have a pence on there.
And your success in Glasgow obviously brings your education to a bit of a halt, because you have so many fans, 2 initially and then up to 7 one day. So your mum takes you from Glasgow back to America, where you begin Parsnip School for the Gifted in 1981 alongside Sylvester Stallone, Madonna and Tony Hadley, who of course went on to front Spandau Ballet and invent the trombone. What were those guys like to have as mates?
I mean, it was odd, I'll not lie, because Tony Hadley had to be in his 20s at that time, but the Parsnip School for the Gifted, it didn't see age. So it was interesting. I actually got to go on tour with Spandau Ballet, and it was gold, really.
And at this point I have something that I think you're going to like, Jay. It's a bit of a surprise. It's a recording of your teacher at Parsnip, Mrs. Bedstead, who had you as a pupil for your first 5 years of elementary school. Just play a wee recording over here.
Okay.
Lafferty was an absolute bitch. She was a nightmare to teach. It was like trying to train a dog with rabies. She'd never sit still or even bring her own pencil. She was a total head case. I'm surprised she's still around. I would have had her put down at the end of her 4th year.
Why was Bedstead slightly negative about you, do you think, Jay?
Well, I mean, I think it was Bedstead. She wasn't cut out for a school for the gifted, because, I mean, everything that she has mentioned there about my behaviour, about my inability to sit still, I mean, those are all trademarks of the genius. But she was sleeping with the headmaster, and she was embedded in the school system. So, yeah, I think she's probably just still bitter about the cellophane over the toilet incident in 1986 when Tony Hadley and I had a right laugh at her expense.
Your mum Heather ditches her triangular buildings to begin teaching at Parsnip, and you finish top of the class in the next 2 years. At this point, at the age of 12, Heather pushes you to leave school before, in her words, you waste any more money on fees. Your dad at this point buys Blackpool, of course, and puts you in charge. As an American kid, did you have any idea what Blackpool was or what you were going to do with it?
My dad had always been a huge fan of the Illuminations, so I'd grown up knowing all about Blackpool. He had pictures of it on our walls. He actually, one Christmas, decided that what he would do is that he would recreate Blackpool Illuminations in our front garden, and that, I don't know if you'll know your history of competitive Christmas lighting, but that's really what started that whole trend, because of course he put up his replica of Blackpool Illuminations in the front garden, and Mrs. Harold from across the road, she thought, well, I'm not having that, and she of course put her own version on it, and then by the next 2-3 years, everybody on the street, and it grew and spread, and Walmart got involved. They started selling all sorts of kind of replica Blackpool towers, and then reindeer Santa's going with the whole Christmas theme. And so when I came over to Blackpool and took over the city, it was pretty easy, because I had been instilled with the love of lights.
And you, just to nip back slightly, Jay, you flew over to the UK on Concorde, and on the way you saw what looked like someone standing on the wing. I know you don't like to discuss this, but can you tell the listeners who you think it was?
There was something on the wing. That's all I'm saying. There was something on the wing.
Like, not a human?
Look, I'm not going back there, okay? They've dragged me through the muck, the FBI, the CIA, NASA. I won't go back there. I can't go back there.
We'll move on. I understand. It sounds upsetting to you. You have unprecedented success in the holiday mecca of Blackpool over the next 10 years, and probably built on your success at the replica Blackpool that you overlooked in America. You become the people's princess despite your tender years, and you eat a huge amount of Blackpool rock. The Blackpoolians really took to you after you made a long speech on the pier in your, at the time, very weird American accent. Can you remember any snatches of the speech that won the people over?
Yeah, I mean, I think I took inspiration from looking out there at the people of Blackpool, and I just said to them, just dance. You can dance. You can dance if you want to. And I looked, and there was a lonely wee group of guys, and I said, you can leave your friends behind. You can dance if you want to. And I mean, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful sight. Everybody just started dancing, and they were doing a ceilidh. They were doing the gay Gordons. They were doing the reel. It was beautiful, and there was a piper there because I've always had my Scottish roots, even when I was in Blackpool. And the American accent, it was really. I was going through a hard time trying to figure out who I was after all the moving about between Texas, Glasgow, Parsnips, and where it was an international school, so there was all sorts of accents going on there, Russian, Spanish, and then of course the last 10 years in Blackpool. So yeah, it was a beautiful time, and I think that everybody there enjoyed it.
You make a huge amount of money there for Blackpool itself and for yourself, but through sheer boredom you respectfully ask your dad if you can move on to other things, and at this point he sends you a telegram saying that he's going to fly over, then hunt you down and kill you for your ingratitude and ungratefulness. Were you disappointed by that reaction?
No, it was exactly what I expected of Big Billy. He had a crazy streak, and I enjoyed the hunt. It was exciting, it was exhilarating. I was 22 years old. Spandau Ballet was now no longer popular, and I had to find my joy elsewhere. And there's nothing better than a good game of hide and seek, especially when your father has brought a bazooka. In fact, that is really, I would say now, I'm just probably realising this, but that whole time in my life was probably where the bullet helmet inspiration has come from. Just realising that.
And in the summer of 1989, you released a song called I've Cut My Dad in Half, What Shall I Do With His Heart? Were you reaching out for advice from fellow psychopaths, or was it just an attempt at the country and western charts?
Well, if you don't think I've noticed that thinly veiled dig there where you called me a psychopath, now I'll tell you, I've been tested and they could find nothing wrong with me. I think when your father is hunting you down with a bazooka, in order to preserve your own life, you do whatever it takes. And I think that was the very essence of the song. Some said that I plagiarised it from Shakespeare's sister, but no, I didn't. That's another false news article that I will refute.
The song goes to number 1 on your 21st birthday, and you celebrate by proposing to your new boyfriend David Cameron. How did you guys get together?
Well, I knew his butcher.
You suggested to him that he should try and tear Europe asunder if he ever made it as a politician. Why was that?
I mean, I didn't say that at all, and I feel like now this interview is starting to lead into territory where you are trying to get me to incriminate myself before I become First Minister of Scotland, and that is absolutely not the case. I actually said to David that what we needed was unity in Europe, that we needed to bring the people together, that we needed to make sure that there was open borders, that there was free movement. We needed to protect that against the horror that was Nigel Farage and really all the other politicians. And again, this is where I come back to the fact that not having a background in politics other than sleeping with David Cameron on a regular basis in the early 90s, which I don't think anybody can judge you for, because, you know, we all did things in the 90s that, you know, we're not proud of, but it was a learning curve. And but I absolutely didn't tell him anything about Europe other than to bring us together, and I thought he would do that because he was a big fan of Europe himself. But there you go, you just never really know somebody, do you? And
the marriage to Posh Camel only lasts a short time because of these differences you have. And at the end of the relationship, you go straight for the £100 husband deal, which was of course famous in Scotland at the time. And I hadn't heard of this, but according to my notes, correct me if I'm wrong, you pay £100 and you get to choose a new husband from a ton of skint and washed up celebrities. I know that one of Busted was close, but who did you go for in the end?
Well, a few facts there to correct. They actually pay you £100 to take on a Z-list celebrity, because why would you pay to have to cope with a Z-list celebrity? I mean, that makes no sense. Think about it logically. And everybody knows that I, of course, chose Peter Andre at the time, just a wreck of a man. This was before Mysterious Girl, which he penned about myself, and that kind of relaunched him for a short time.
And did you have to stay for him for any length of time to get the £100 then?
No, it was, the £100 was upfront, non-refundable. It was a bit like Monopoly. As soon as you pass go, you got it. Well, should have been 200 really, but anyway. Peter and I, we had a good laugh. We had a good laugh, and I'm glad that I could help him in some small way.
So you ditched Peter after, I think it's roughly 3 weeks, and you sign up for Welly boot design at Cambridge University. Now, you had huge amounts of money from your businesses. Why did you bother going into the rain footwear market?
It was homage to my mother. She was a great lover of architecture. Her triangular buildings, they were known worldwide. The Louvre was my mother, and I felt that it was an opportunity to show the world that you could have a triangular welly boot.
And at the age of 29, you leave the welly boot. Just a quick one on this. What was your most successful welly design, if you don't mind me asking? Was it a kid's boot or an adult's boot? Or
it was the trio triangle, which was a welly boot made up of 3 intricate triangles. So you had one on the left foot, one on the right foot, and then one in the middle. And what you would do with the one in the middle was that an adult could take a small child and put them into the one welly boot in the middle, or even a Chihuahua or Dachshund dog. Nothing larger.
A huge success, as always, for yourself. At the age of 29, Jay, you found yourself looking out to sea on a yacht while bedecked in gold and sparkling with diamonds on a party for Elton John. Did the other celebrities find it strange that late on you were fishing for mackerel rather than chatting?
Well, if they did, they never said anything. And I'll tell you this, everybody enjoyed the mackerel sandwiches at 4 a.m, and Big El, he loves fish food, right? He is a big fan of mackerel, of sea bass, prawns, lobster, caviar, and that's why he'd asked me to come along. And I had painted myself in gold, so it was no mean feat to cast a line while painted in gold. It was a bit more difficult than what I'm used to with my fishing arm. But it was successful. And
it was at this same party that you were struck down with the hummus 19 virus, which of course means that the victim sees chickpeas instead of human heads. Was it that affliction that led you into the world of stand-up comedy?
Well, there was a bit more to it than that. I mean, it was embarrassing, to say the least, to come to, once the antidote had been found, to realise that I had in fact tried to eat the head of David Jason Frost, Only Fools and Horses star. But luckily I'd only eaten his right ear when Elton and the boys wrestled me off of him, so it was a relief. And because I had taken his ear, I did feel that the only way that I could redeem myself, I don't know if that's the right word, maybe redeem myself, pay penance, I don't know what I was thinking. It was a tough time, was to become his comedy double act. And you'll remember that when I first started stand-up comedy, David Jason and I were JD, the double act, and we had some great success there, and I think it really did make up for the loss of the ear. Jason,
I think, because he never really gets over the ear incident, does he? He ditches you 3 or 4 years into that. You go your separate ways, but people love you. They love you and they love your work. And by 2020, on a massive tidal wave of people's vote, you win Britain's Got Talent, telling jokes with a dog balanced on your knee, and the rest is history. Appearances on Blankety Blank, arena tours, and an estimated £600 in the bank. You're a star, and you probably never have to work again. That brings us, of course, to the present day and to the stand by or catch a ship section, Jay, when you either have to double down on things that you've said in the past or distance yourself from them. So I'll read out quotes, and they're Jay Lafferty quotes from your past, and you can just say stand by if you stand by them, or catch a ship if you want to distance yourself. And you can say a little bit more than that, or just the catchphrase. It's entirely up to you. Are you ready?
I am indeed, yes.
Number 1, I would put humans in zoos and shoot all the animals.
I'll catch a ship on that. I think that was during the hummus 19 delusion.
Number 2, deliberately walking from one destination to another should be illegal.
I'll stand by that. As a comedian, we don't deliberately do anything, and as First Minister, I'll be very much like that as well. The meandering, wandering, just taking your time, smelling the roses. That's what gets you from A to Z. Not this walking with purpose nonsense. What if you leave the house and you're determined you're going to Tesco, and you walk past an Aldi's why not just go to the Aldi? I mean, just wander. I stand by it.
Number 3 on the Lafferty quotes. Margaret Thatcher was faster than Usain Bolt. She just never had to run.
I mean, I stand by that. How can you refute that? You can't refute that, because she never ran. So she may well have been faster than Usain Bolt. She was very quick to take milk off of wains, let me tell you that. And if she could run at half the speed that she could decimate mining villages, then she was going to be fast as fuck.
Number 4, the coronavirus is one person with a grudge.
This is a difficult one, but I'm going to have to catch a ship. I'm going to have to catch a ship on that one, because I now think it's probably more of a consortium.
Question 5, the final one. Electricity was invented by the same woman who created the mango.
Absolutely. Stand by that. I mean, you obviously just don't know your history. It's very clear that Marion not only found the mango and named it such, but she also very much invented electricity. And Logie Bear? Yeah, I don't even know, because I will not recognise any of these liars who try to take that on, because I absolutely stand by that, and more people should know it, really.
And now we sadly must discuss the end of your life, Jay, which is hopefully a long way off. You told me before the show that you want to be jammed into a giant firework, the kind of firework you would buy at B&M Home Bargains. You want someone to light the touch paper and you to just be taken right up there and scattered across the world. Why?
I'll tell you exactly why. It's I have a hatred of dog owners, right? I love dogs, no problem with dogs, but I hate dog owners, and nothing annoys dog owners more than a giant firework going off at a time, well, really any time. I mean, they will moan about it in New Year, they moan about it during the Edinburgh Festival, they moan about it on fireworks night, when of course it is traditional to have fireworks going off. So I really want to end my life just pissing off dog owners, and so I've requested that it also happen at 11 p.m. after the 10 p.m. curfew for the fireworks, because that really gets them going. And yeah, that's it. I want to know with my last dying breath that I'm going to go into the heavens, to explode with a barrage of colour, to the howl of the majestic animal, the dog, and to the curses and fist shakes of a lot of annoyed dog owners. So that's why.
And as the dogs are howling, the whole of the country is howling as well as the dogs, you've chosen The Seer by William Douglas to be played as your body slowly drifts back to the ground. Why is that?
Because I've never heard it, and I think there's nothing better than to leave this world to a song that you don't know, you've never heard played. Why not?
Jay, thank you so much for coming on the show. As the flakes of the Lafferty body gently waft to the ground, we play William Douglas and The Seer.